Amen. You can be seated. Welcome, 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 River Lake Church. My name is Nick. I'm the pastor. If you're a guest here, we want to welcome all those watching online through Facebook Live or through their app through the week, whatever that is. Just welcome. We have a great day today. Today, really, before we get in the message, though, I want to let you know every month we committed to updating you on our BOLD initiative, and that is our building initiative. And we got pledges of almost $500,000. It was awesome a few months ago. And to this moment, we've had $125,000 of that given already. And so that's awesome. We're excited about that. And thank you for that. Yeah, you can clap for that if you want to. So that's what's going on with that. Also, just want to let you know, I want to ask you to pray for us. We are in the process. We've got a few pieces that we're looking at right now. One in particular, we're talking with a gentleman, and I would just ask you to just pray. It's a great spot. It may work out, may not, but really, if you could just pray for that, pray that give us wisdom and the whole deal, it'd be awesome. But at the end of the day, hey, we know God's got us, and so we're going to be content and happy with where we're at until that is. And so anyway, that's kind of what's going on. As I said, every month we're going to update you and go from there, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So we are in the middle of a series called Can I Still Be a Christian? And I did a video this past week where I introduced my dog. And if you know me, I love dogs. I've got 2 boxers, and I got a big old white one. And I introduced him, and I said, hey, this is Duke, and dogs go to heaven, and cats go to hell. Okay, that's kind of what I said. And the craziest thing was this, because here's what I know. In a room like this, there's people, how many of you really quickly are dog people? Just raise your hand boldly, proudly, rightly. Yeah, you people love Jesus. That's awesome. How many people you like cats? Oh, well, we'll pray for you, and it'll be okay. No. So it's the craziest thing, though, because I'm doing this thing, and today I want to talk about personalities. I want to talk about like things that divide us and things that kind of make us different or whatever. But the craziest thing happened because I'm talking about dogs and cats, and I really believe this. Only in Kentucky does the conversation switch from dogs and cats, and somebody goes, what about goats? And I just thought, what about goats? I guess, what about cows and chickens? But anyway, all of a sudden, everybody started popping up. Well, I like goats. I'm like, whoa, I'm in Kentucky. Okay, cool. So, but really, all joking aside, every single one of us, we divide ourselves. We've got all these qualifiers. We've got all these different things that kind of define who we are. In a room like this, all joking aside, there are people that really are, you're dog lovers, and you'd say, I love dogs. And there are people that, I'm cat lovers. Just like that, there are people that say, you know what, we've got some other things that kind of divide us or qualify us or whatever their personalities. We got some people that are Ford people, and we got some people that are Chevy people. And then we got like me that like, I just want a car that drives. Okay, that's all I care. I don't care about the other two. You know, we've got other things. We've got Democrats. We've got Republicans. Oh, who said, oh no? We're not going to go there. It's okay. We're good, all right? I'm just like, if that doesn't tell you all there is to say about that topic, there you go. But no, we've got all these things. We've got things like Apple products versus Microsoft products. We've got serious things and we've got silly things. But at the end of the day, here's what I know. You have things that make you you. You've got things that kind of define you. You've got personality traits. You've got things that you were born. You've got experiences that kind of made you who you are. You've got things that you like, and you've got things that you don't like. You've got certain types of food. Like maybe you love Mexican food. It's crazy. When we moved here, I never realized that Mexican food was so beloved in the South. But there's like one Mexican restaurant for every 50 other restaurants. It's crazy. But people love Mexican here. You got people that don't love Mexican. It's crazy. But every single one of us, we have things that we like and don't like. And in our culture, and this is where I want to go today. In our culture, everything points to figure out who you are. Figure out how God made you. Figure out how God designed you. We say things like, I was born this way. This is how God made me. This is what I like. That's my personality. That's what I do. That's who I am. And everything in our culture points towards discovering who you are, what you're about. And if you look at it and you kind of study it, and I love looking at these kind of things, what you see is over the past several years, over the past 30, 40 years, culture has focused more and more and more on you, your DNA, how you were made, how you were designed, your personality traits, and everything says you just be you. You keep it real. There's a little sign in your text message, 100. That's just you keeping it 100. You keeping it real. You just being you. But my question today is, what if you're a jerk? Okay? Just kidding. No, that's not my question. But, really. Some people are like, I'm just being honest. No, you're being a jerk. Don't be a jerk. But we do that. And here's what we've seen, and here's kind of where we want to land with it today. As we have seen, as I've kind of looked at it, as we've seen this focus on you. Everything's about you. We're incredibly narcissistic and self-indulgent. As we kind of figure out me, more about me, more about what I want, more about what we've seen is we've also seen depression go up. We've seen suicides. New York Times did an article quite recently that said in the last 30 years, suicide rates are at an all-time high. We see drug dependencies go up. We see relationships falter. What used to be, you used to have, 100 years ago, 80 years ago, somebody would have like 5 or 6 good friends. They would be lifelong friends. What we see is friends, as we've become more connected, have become more shallow. As we become more and just keeping it real, we have less true friends that stick with us. That all the things that we hold important seem to be diminishing, and all the things that we think are about us, we kind of emphasize. And today, I want to look at a passage. Jesus says something I find so fascinating. It's so countercultural. In a world that says it's all about you, and you just be you, and it doesn't matter what affects anybody else, and it doesn't matter whether anybody else likes it or not, you just be you. Jesus says something so radically insulting. He says something that is just infuriating in so many levels. He says something that is crazy. It doesn't make any sense on the surface if you don't kind of delve deep into it. And he says it in Luke chapter 14. If you've got a Bible, I want to encourage you to turn there. But here's what he says. It's so fascinating. He says, large crowds were traveling with Jesus and turning to them. Now, I want to pause real quickly and just say this. As you look at Scripture, here's what I see. And maybe you see something different, and that's okay. What I've discovered is as crowds get larger, Jesus becomes more insulting. And what I mean by that is privately, one-on-one, he seems to be very, very nice, very sweet, very, very generous and grace-filled and loving. As the crowds get bigger, he starts to say much more insulting, just infuriating things like, you need to eat my flesh and drink my blood, which would, like, hey, vampire. Like they didn't know what to do with that. And this passage starts off, and I think it's important. It says, listen, large crowds are following him. He had a whole crew around him. The church was full. The seats were taken. Jesus takes that opportunity and he says this. If anyone comes to me and does not hate, that's a key word, hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person, here's the key word we're going to hone in on today, cannot be my disciple. Jesus got a full crowd, probably thousands of people. And they're all following him because he's giving away free stuff. He's probably a pretty good communicator. He's God, so I'm sure he was really eloquent and very clear. He was healing people of their sicknesses and things like that. And gets them all together and says, hey, let me just break this down for you as clear as possible. You can't be, and we would use the word Christian. He would say follower because they didn't have that term quite yet. But he'd say, you cannot be a Christian unless you're willing to hate your mom, your dad, your wife, your kids. And even... he knows that's the thing that we love more than anything. Even if we're self-deprecating and it seems like we're not, at the core of it, every single one of us, myself included, we love me more than anything else. He says, listen, you can't. You can't be still a Christian. You can't still be a Christian and hold on to me. That's not how it works. And then as if he just kind of looked at it and said, you know what, I think maybe they're not going to understand me. I think maybe 2,000 years later somebody's going to look at it and say, hey, that's so weird and out of place for Jesus. Isn't he about love? Isn't he about forgiveness? Isn't he about grace? I mean, that seems really condemning and judgy for Jesus. Like, maybe we misinterpreted the Greek word. Maybe it's messed up. As if he kind of predicted it. He said, let me just hone it in and make sure that you're incredibly clear. We're incredibly clear on what I want to say. He says this next verse. And whoever, meaning anybody, there's no one special. I know your mama told you you're a snowflake. You're not, I promise. No one special. Does not carry their cross. And they would interpret that as death. Does not carry death with them and follow me. And he says it again, just to be clear, can't be a disciple. Jesus answers the question, can I still be a Christian and hold on to me? And he would look at you and he would look at me and say, no. No, that's the one thing you can't do. That it's not so much worried about your theology and what you believe as much as what you do and how you behave. And yeah, there's some things that you need to believe in, and we'll get to that. But at the end of the day, he says, listen, you want to know, here's the deal. You've got to kill you. You've got to kill it. Quit making excuses and kill it. Get up every single day and die to yourself. As a matter of fact, just so you don't think, and I'm not going to put it up here, but this is a theme for Jesus, and he's repeated it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, just so you don't walk out here thinking, okay, Nick picked the one obscure verse where that talks about. No. Over and over and over again, Jesus kept communicating to his disciples, you got to die to yourself. You got to die to yourself. Matter of fact, I'm going to die to myself for you so that you can die to yourself so that we can be reconnected with our Heavenly Father. Over and over and over again. Paul, over and over and over again, has this theme that we are dead to ourselves, that we are dead to our sins, that we kill ourselves, that those of us who are serious about our faith, those of us who would say, listen, Paul would say, Jesus would say, you are Christians. What makes them different, the marker in their life, isn't that they got great theology and they can walk around and go, hey, listen, I can quote John chapter 3, verse 16, and I can show up to church and I'm part of the crowd. Jesus had a lot of crowd around him. He had a lot of people that physically followed him and emotionally and spiritually were distant and far from him. And Jesus says, listen, you want to know the marker of a true disciple? It's this. They get up every single day and they don't look at who they are. They don't look at how they're made. They don't look at what they want to do. They don't look at their desires. They get up every single day, and they die to themselves. They're not trying to figure out who they are. They're trying to figure out who Jesus is. And that's the big thing. But in our culture, come on, I'm going to push some of you a little bit real quickly here. That's not what we do. In fact, I got 3 areas I want to put up on the screen really quickly here. 3 things that we kind of mess this up with. And number 1 is we were born this way. We hear that a lot. And we may not say it that way, but I was born this way. I run into people and I hear this all the time, but there is scripture, there are words that says crazy things like you should have a confrontation with somebody else who you've wronged or who's wronged you. And all Jesus says something, Paul says something about it, like over and over again. It tells us how to handle conflict, and somebody will walk in and they've got a conflict problem, and I'll be counseling them, and I'll tell them, here's how to handle it. You need to go have a very hard, awkward, weird conversation with them. Here's what they'll say. Nick, I'm not really confrontational. I was born this way. And I know what God says, and I know what I probably should do, but you know what? My personality, it's not really me. I'm not going to do that. Or come on, let's just go a little bit deeper with this one. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Over and over again. Jesus says forgive them hundreds and hundreds of times. Doesn't matter what they do. There's no qualifiers on it. There's no forgive them unless they do A, B, or C. Just whatever's been done to you. And in a room like this, there are people that have been wronged in major, severe, serious, life-changing ways. Okay, so I'm not trying to make light of your pain. I'm not trying to make light of your paths. But here's what I know. Jesus is like, yeah, you need to forgive them. But again, we don't do that. Because I don't feel that. I don't really want to. It's in marriages. The divorce rate for most Christians, same as the world. Can't tell you how many times I've sat down with a couple and they'll come to me for help. And at some time, here's what I'll do. I'll say, hey, listen, and I won't have one as an illustration, but I'll say, hey, here's the deal. You know, if you're a Christian, according to God, there's one way out. You don't have a right to leave. Every time like clockwork. Damn, Nick, but I'm not happy anymore. I don't feel connected anymore. I don't want to. Doesn't God want me to be happy? Side note, and this is free. I've read this a few times, actually, all the way through every verse. Never once does it say God wants you to be happy. Ever. Ever. Just so we're clear, not in there. I checked. I was hoping. I was looking for it. If it was there, I would highlight it and I'd put it across my forehead, like, yay, me, Not in there. But what is in there is a whole bunch of like, hey, don't do this and make sure you do this. And here's how to live in life in tune with how I've created you, how I've made you. But we want to reject that in so many ways. We walk away from it. People show up and they're late. And here's what they do. And it's like one of my pet peeves, that people being late, and I can't stand it. And people show up and they're like, I'm just late. And they treat it like it's a disease that they caught when they're 10, right? It's like, I'm just late perpetually. I caught it when I was 10. I can't get rid of it. It's the craziest thing. Like, I just, like, no, leave early. That's it. Like, that's not a hard thing to fix. But we don't do that. Why? Because we're a culture that's so focused on me and just how I was made and how I feel in my situation, in my circumstances, that you know what? I'm not going to base my decisions on what God says or be a disciple and really fall and die to myself. No. I'm going to look to me. I'm going to figure out what I would like to do or how I want to be, and I'm going to project that onto everybody else. And here's the deal. Again, you just need to understand this. That never leads to happiness. That never leads to wholeness. That never leads to where you want to be. It always leads to frustration, always leads to pain. Every single time. You have a situation, maybe. Yeah, and I run into people every now and then. Here's what they say to me. I smile and I nod. I don't say anything to them. But I run into people every now and then. They'll go, Nick, you know what? I would love to give if I had more money. Wouldn't we all? Like, who's sitting around going, I don't want any more money, The issue is this here, though. But every study, not church studies, every study outside of the church says this. The more you make, percentage-wise, the less you give. That's just what it says. It's not true. It's a lie. We tell ourselves that, though. Again, you look at the studies, you know who the most generous percentage-wise people are in the whole world? Again, not just in the church. This is period everywhere. The most generous people in the world are poorer people. It's just a fact. And there's always exceptions. But it's a myth. It's a lie. I know what I should do. I know it's called me to be generous. I know it's called me to live generously. I know it's called me to give and help people and kind of do that. But, I've got a situation. And what we do is, in our pursuit of God, for some of us, we have all these qualifiers, and we come to this, and we go, yeah, listen, I'm with this as long as it doesn't contradict who I am, how I was made, my feelings, my personality, my makeup, my bents, my preferences, and what I like to do that day. So as long as it doesn't contradict any of that kind of stuff, man, I am all with this thing. This is a great book. And we lead frustrated, incomplete lives. Jesus says, I've come to give you life and life to the fullest. That's the vision. But you can't have it. You can't have it by being more of you. You get that by killing you and discovering Jesus. Period. So today, here's what I want to do. I just want to unpack 3 steps for you. 3 things I think can help you in this pursuit. 3 things that kind of just will be gauges maybe for you as you walk, and every single one of them has an action plan. Number 1 is this. You need to acknowledge. Acknowledge that you're not good at leading you. In the next couple of weeks, I made maybe one of the biggest mistakes in my entire life. I bought a 10-person tent to go camping, okay? That terrifies me, just to be honest, okay? It really does. I've told my children they want to go. I'm like, hey, they're bears. You might not come back, so your call. I'm trying everything I can do to get out of that. And they're like, there's bears? Yes. It didn't help at all. Actually, they're like, can we poke the bears? I'm like, once. You can poke them once, and then it's over, okay? But we're going to be going camping here, hopefully, God willing, and we'll come back soon. And we got this big 10-person tent because we just want to pretend to be homeless in the woods, apparently. And we're going to do that. But here's the deal. I want you to imagine with me for a second. Imagine you are camping with us. Okay? That is not an invitation to come with us, by the way. But imagine that you are coming with us. And we're hiking together, we're walking, and we're kind of on the path for a while, but then we're like, we got this, and that's a cool bird, or that's a cool flower. We go off the path, and we walk for about 10 miles, and we're hiking, because that's what people do, apparently. I don't get that either, but just put on special shoes and walk for miles. I don't get it. But anyway, imagine we were doing that. We walked for about 10 miles, and all of a sudden, we look around, and we realize we don't know where we're at. I don't know which is west. I don't know which is east. Sun's right in the middle. What do? So I do what the smart thing is to do, and you do the same thing. Is we both pull out our compasses, and we look. But imagine for a second. Imagine if the compasses both pointed to the person holding them. Imagine that you've got this compass and you're like, okay, this is going to help us because I know that we walked west and so we got to go back east. Imagine the compass, no matter what direction I turned, no matter where I went, the compass always pointed to me. And your compass, no matter where you went, no matter where you turned, your compass always pointed to you. How helpful would that be? It's a terrible compass. But that's what happens in our culture. We have a culture that says, listen, it is hostile to you, your future hopes and dreams. You don't have to be a Christian to kind of believe it. You just kind of look at the world and listen, hey, our world is hostile to our future, our hopes, our dreams, to healthy relationships, to healthy marriages, to healthy finance. It's hostile. And what our culture says is, listen, you're a great compass. You just guide you. And the person next to you, they're a great compass. And you just guide you. And they just guide them. And you're just going to kind of all do that. And it's why we're in the mess we're in. Because listen, I care about you enough to tell you this. You're a bad compass. You, don't miss this, you deceive yourself, right? You're a bad compass because you've lied to yourself. And there was a season maybe in your life where you lied and you said, you know what? I can handle that. And you couldn't. And you're either stuck in an addiction right now or you've got something in your past where you deceived yourself. You really believed that. It's not like you kind of were lying to other people. No. Your heart deceived you, and you said, I can handle that, and you couldn't. Your heart deceived you in the 8th grade when you looked at that girl or that boy and said, oh, I love you, and I love you forever. And again, I'm being silly, but come on. You believed that. You really meant that. You deceive yourself every day. You're a bad compass. And as long as you walk through life trying to figure out your personality and how you were made and how you were bent and what you like and what you don't like and you just being you and you being true to you and you keeping it real, I just tell you right now, you will consistently and constantly deceive yourself and be frustrated with your life. You have to come under the authority of this. Like, this is true north. And it doesn't matter what direction you look, and it doesn't matter what continent you're in, and it doesn't matter what culture you're from, and it doesn't matter where you go. This always points you true north. And so, acknowledging that you're not a good compass, here's what it looks like. It's you getting up every single morning and reading this. And when this contradicts with how you feel or what you want or how you're made or what your desires are or where you want to go or whatever it is, when there is a tension between the two, when you feel like, man, I really want to do this, but this says something different, you acknowledge, I'm not a good compass, so I'm going to go with this. I'm bad at leading my life, so I'm going to trust in this. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean, here's what he says, it just kind of predicts it thousands and thousands of years ago. God predicts this. He says, lean not on your own understanding. Why? Because you're not good at leading yourself. God says, listen, here's the deal. When you do that, you lean not on your understanding. In all your ways, God will make your paths straight. They're not straight. It's why you don't lean into what God says sometimes. It's why you lean into you, because you look ahead and you go, it doesn't make sense to me. And God says, I know it doesn't make sense to you because the path isn't straight yet. I'll make the path straight when you lean into my understanding, not yours, but not before. You're a bad compass. And the first step is acknowledge. Number 2 is this. It's to discover. Purpose always trumps personality, every time. Every single time. Purpose trumps personality. It supersedes it every single time. And I can prove it to you really quickly with an illustration with my kids and my wife. Because my wife is one of the most non-confrontational people in the world. Like, I'll push her, I'll be like, hey, you need to have the conversation. I'm not confrontational. Hold it. Here's what I know. And if you know my wife, you know her. She loves our children. She has a very, very clear purpose to protect and guard our children. Here's what I know. She won't say boo to a fly. But if a stranger walks up and just smacks the back of my 8-year-old daughter, she will gut him and walk away clean. She won't even think about it. She will just gut and be like, I don't know who that guy is, and just walk away. She won't feel bad. She won't feel guilty. That whole, I'm not very confrontational. Right out the window, okay? It's done. You know why? Here's the deal. Don't miss this. I'm being silly. Her purpose superseding her personality. And when your purpose is clear, it always trumps, it always beats out your personality. The problem with many of us, the problem with what we do is we fall back into, well, I'm just not on time. I'm just don't have a lot of vision. I'm just not very disciplined. I'm just not good with money. I'm just not good at marriage. I'm just not good at being nice. We fall back into our personality. Why? Because we don't have a clear purpose. The moment you have purpose supersedes personality every time. Here's the tension. You don't have a clear purpose because you keep looking to you, and you changes constantly, right? I mean, 5 years ago, you were like, oh, I love this. And now you're like, oh, I hate that. Like right now, and it's cool, but there are certain fads in our culture that we're all about. How many of you had parachute pants in the 80s? Bunch of liars. More than that had that. I know better, okay? I'll show you a picture. All right. Anyway, don't know what they are. Anyway, I like him. Anyway, here's the deal. Your purpose changes, though, constantly, right? Like, oh, I really want to do this with my life. Oh, I really want to do this with my life. Oh, I really love this person. Oh, I really kind of love this person. Oh, I find this person really attractive. I find this person really, really attractive. Oh, I want to save for this, and I want to go on this vacation. You know what I thought about? I don't want to go on that vacation. I want to go on this vacation over here. Your purpose constantly changes because it's all centered around you. And it's not clear. But if you want a different life, I'll just tell you right now, it's found here. Like, this will give you your purpose clearer than anything else. And again, because it's a good compass, it will not change on you. It will not one day go, oh, by the way, all that stuff beforehand, no, forget that. No more of that. We're going to move on. No. But the problem is this. I'm just going to push some of you real quickly. When was the last time you studied this? If you'd say, if you're here today and you're not a Christian, so glad you're here. That was a weird question. Of course, never. But if you'd say, hey, listen, yeah, I'm a Christian. I follow God. I'm a disciple. I love God. Whole deal. Like, I'm a good person. I'm trying. Let me just push you really quickly. When was the last time you studied it? Like, you picked it up and you're like, yeah, I believe this has life, this has purpose, this has my future, this has my destiny. The more that I know this, the better my life is. So I'm going to spend some time not just reading, studying. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to think it through. I'm going to process it. I'm going to ask questions. When was the last time that happened? Because for some of you, yeah, you're a Christian, and yeah, you're struggling so much, but part of it is because you keep falling back on your personality. And you keep telling yourself weird things like, I'm an addict. Or I'm just not nice. Or I'm just not good at that. It may be true, but it doesn't have to be true. See, let me just tell you something real quickly here. This is kind of a side note, but everybody's in search of happiness. Let me give you and one day I'm going to unpack this in the whole series, but for today's purpose here, let me just say this to you. Happiness is not a destination you achieve. Happiness is a byproduct you get. Okay? So here's what this looks like, okay? So many people, they pursue happiness, and they want to be happy, and what do? They make decisions every single day that makes them happy. What does that do? What is the destination of that? Failure, frustration. Think about it. If you did everything you wanted to do, everything you felt like doing, you would have no friends, no job, no money, nothing. Right? But we pursue that, and we make decisions, big decisions on, this makes me happy. Here's the proof. Happiness is a byproduct of a very clear purpose of pursuing Jesus. It is. It's a byproduct. Because again, you've done that. You were disciplined in an area of your life for months, and you were not happy in the process, but you got to the destination, and it ultimately fulfilled you, right? You ran the race. You lost the weight. You got the job. You finished your school. You got an A on the test. Those are all things, every single one of those things. The process was not happiness. The destination was something that had a purpose, but the byproduct was happiness. And when we confuse the two, when we sit back and we want the purpose of our life, when we sit back and I just got to discover what makes me happy, you will always, it is like a bubble that you have it for a second, and the moment you try to grab that happiness bubble, it's gone. Don't pursue happiness. It's not worth it. Last one is this. Add. You've got to admit and acknowledge that you're not a good compass, that Jesus is. That's the first step. You've got to discover your purpose, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to discover that outside of Jesus. You might for a few months, a few years, but you got to do that. But at the same time, you've got to add some stuff to your world. You've got to start adding some stuff, because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Einstein defined that as insanity years and years and years ago, and he's so true. Every week I have conversations with people who text me, phone call, email, show up in person, and they're so frustrated with their life, and they're in the same place they were 20 years ago, but they're doing the same things, and they're just frustrated. And that's the Christian life, so many ways. So the last thing that you need to do is you need to add. And I want to walk through that, but before we get to that, I found a clip that I just love, because he boils it down. Dave Ramsey's a guy, he's a financial guy, but he's also a good leader, and he did a coaching thing, and there's a minute and a half clip that I just think is so helpful, and it kind of speaks to what we're talking about today. So we're going to check it out right now.
I had a guy working for me, and he was doing the stuff wrong that he's supposed to be doing. I said, dude, don't do it that way. You need to do it this way. And he's like, whoa, what do you mean? I said, no, do it this way. This is the right way. And he goes, well, that's not the way I do it. I know, but you're doing it wrong. Do it this way. And he goes, well, I'm not like you. And I went, change. You can decide, can't you? Change. I'm not very visionary. Change. I don't have any influence. Get some. I'm not very humble. Start. You know, I mean, really, these are decisions. Because leaders are not born. I've been to the hospital a bunch of times. They always say, it's a boy, it's a girl. They never go, oh, it's a leader. No, they're not born. I was not a leader when I started. I was a boss. At 56 years old, I'm a world-class leader. I got some ways to go. I can still work on it. You know, humble's still there. Didn't say I was perfect. I probably messed up 5 times this morning. But that's okay. I didn't resign. I'm still going at it. We're still going to keep at it. We're going to keep at it. We're going to keep at it. But I'm a lot better than I was. You got to be a little bit better tomorrow. Change. You get to decide. And that's why you come to stuff like this. So you get information you didn't have. So when you leave here, you're someone that you weren't when you came in. And you get to decide. These are decisions.
These are... He can't hear you, just so you know. Anyway, and I didn't say it, so. These are decisions, though. And I love it. Just decide. And wouldn't it be awesome if it's that easy, though? Here's what I know. It's not that easy, though. It is a decision. You are in control. I don't care about your past. I don't care about your bents. I don't care about your personality. I don't care how you're made. I don't care how you're designed. I don't care about all the stuff that you're going to want to blame, that I blame on myself, too, that kind of holds us back. Every single decision. That's why Jesus says that. Every single day. You got to get up every single day and die. Why? Because it's a daily decision. It's not something you decide one time. It's a daily thing. The thing that you want, it's daily. You got to get up daily. You got to get up daily and go to the gym. You got to get up daily and eat healthy. You got to get up daily and love your wife and your husband. You got to get up daily and coach your kids. You got to get up daily and do this. It's not a one-time thing. But every day, we get to decide. So here's what I want you to do, because I know it's not as simple as that, and it's a process. But in a room with all of us, here's what I know. There's a lot of personality still here. There's a lot of junk still here. There's a lot of stuff that we're holding on to. There's a lot of our life that we're kind of holding on to and kind of living in both worlds and the whole deal. Here's what I want you to do. In the areas of your world that you're like, listen, I'm not this, I'm not that, or that's just, I was born that way. I know I probably shouldn't be. I know all those areas. Here's what I want you to do. I just want you to add one word. Yet. I don't know. I'm not on time yet. I'm not really confrontational yet. I'm not really good with money yet. I don't know what your yet is. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're falling back on. My assumption is you're like me and you have many things. It's not one area you got to add yet to. It's lots. That there are some things that God has called you to do. There's some visions inside of you. There's some dreams you have. And every single one of them, you're sitting back going, I can't forgive them yet. I can't go there yet. I can't go out and influence people yet. I don't know what it is. Here's what I know. Add a yet. Start to walk into your destiny. And I know you're not there yet. I know you don't have control of it yet. But if you keep making the decision, if you keep getting up every day and you take that next step, every single day, getting up going, I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. And I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep moving. Why? Because I've got a destiny. You've got a destiny. And Jesus said, I've come to give you life and life to the fullest. But you're not there yet. But yet is the word. Yet is what fills in the gap. Yet is what calls us to more and helps us have hope, helps us believe. And so this week, my hope, my prayer for you is that you would start to believe, you would start to speak, you would start to own the power of yet. And in the areas of your life where you're lacking, where you feel insufficient, where you feel unqualified, where you feel broken, you will start to change the language around it and you will start to believe that God is not done with you. The best is yet to come. And there is a yet. Would you all stand with me? I want to pray for you. And I want you to... There is so much potential in this room. Can you imagine if we all walked with that? Can you imagine for a second if like the people that are bad-mouthing you the most that walk up to you and go, hey, yeah, you're no good at that. And you just own that? You're just like, yeah, no, I'm not good at that. Yet. Oh yeah, you're so bad with money. You're never gonna get out of debt. You're no good with money. You just own it. You don't have to pretend. You have to put on Facebook how awesome you are. You have to tell everybody how far you ran today or what you ate. Stop that, by the way. You know, you just own that. Just kidding, sorry. You just own it. You own where you're at. Why? Because you believe. You believe there's a yet. You believe there's something more. You believe there's a future. We pray for you. Heavenly Father, thank you so much that there's a yet, that there's a best is yet to come, that there's something more for every single person in here if we own it. We can take our eyes off ourselves and put them onto you. If we can acknowledge that you are the Savior, that you are God, that we're a bad compass, and submit to you. We can discover that purpose. Spending time with you, the scripture, we can start to add the word yet. Lord, help us be who you call us to be. Help us be world changers. Help us be disciple makers. Help us be the church and run with that. We love you. We thank you. Amen. God bless. See you next week.